The following announcement has been paid for by the
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Nerds of Wrestling, or the nOw. I'm back for episode 3 with Cody. Hey.
Hello.
And Trevor.
What's up?
What's up, guys? And, of course, myself, Travis, or Gravity Well, from the show nOw. You catch live every Tuesday, every Thursday, right on twitch.tv/Dose of Nerd Acumen. So feel free to join all of us every week. So what's going on, guys? I heard there was some wrestling events over the past week since we spoke last. Is that true?
Plenty.
And I think we have a few things that we could actually talk about for once regarding wrestling. Let's kick things off with one of the most interesting things. I'm going to send it over to you, Cody. There was a musical this week?
Yeah, so MJF and Chris Jericho did a jazz style musical, very Frank Sinatra, and I mean it has mixed reviews. Me personally, I thought it was if it was something WWE did, it probably wouldn't have been great in my eyes, but I see it different from a new company trying out new things and actually referencing certain things like Family Guy and stuff like that.
It was very Seth MacFarlane.
Yeah, I thought it was funny for what it's worth. I don't want to see it all the time or even ever again, but for what it's worth, I enjoyed it.
Thanks for the host, MX. Welcome to the show. And you know, it was an interesting thing. I got to give that. They tried something different. What are they doing exactly with this? Who knows? I mean, they're having fun for one, and they looked like they genuinely had fun. Was it awkward? Yes. Was it kind of condescending to the waitress? That was strange. So yes. And the other question, was it dubbed? Were they lip syncing?
They were lip singing,
Okay.
but they were lip singing their own. Like they sang. So what we learned was somehow MJF is a much better singer than the actual musician.
Yeah, you know, I found that interesting too, because they were hitting chords, singing along with each other, and I found that.
I mean, I guess it makes sense because Chris Jericho, that's not really his style of singing. And
No.
From what I've heard, MJF was he used to tour the country doing chorus. He was pretty good, but this makes sense that that's more his style. Is that jazz and classical singing? That actually makes sense to him.
Yeah, the lounge, kind of. Yeah. I mean, like I said, it was interesting. I don't know if I necessarily want to see it ever again. If it was WWE and people got a reaction out of it, they would be doing it literally every week for the next 6 weeks.
No, and I will say I cringed the first time I watched it, and then I probably watched it 4 or 5 more times after that. And every time I watched it, it got a little bit better, and a little bit better. And then by the time I stopped watching it, I thought it was pretty good.
It was very Family Guy inspired, though. That's what I got out of it. Even the ending with the steaks, where they ended up getting basically a raw steak, you know, just straight out cut from the animal right on their plate, and they're like, I don't want this. What the hell? So it had value to it. Again, I don't want to ever see it again, but it was a thing that happened in wrestling this week. Trevor, did you see it?
Yeah, I watched all of AEW. I thought it was pretty funny. Not much more I could say about it. You guys went over it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it was good. Like you said, don't do it like every week, but once was fine.
Yeah, and I don't think they will, maybe. But it's definitely, if WWE had done it, they would do it again, and that's a problem with WWE. When they find success in something, they beat a dead horse. Yep. And then it becomes not as cool anymore.
Yeah, I mean, I think a newer company has a little bit more leeway to try something that extravagant, where a company that's been the top company for over 20 years really doesn't have any excuse if they flop that hard on something.
Like something I'm sure we'll speak on tonight.
Yeah.
I think you already know. Starts with an R.
Yep.
We'll get to that, I promise. Also, in the world of wrestling, we're going to really focus tonight, if you want to know what's on the card for tonight's show, the heavy emphasis on the pay-per-view that occurred last night, Hell in a Cell 2020, and then in our main event is going to be the Royal Rumble from 1995, which was Trevor's pick for our rotating picks. I'm not certain at this point if it's going to be my pick next, if I'm going to be on next week or not. That's up in the air. Or we're going to put it out to the community from a list, and then you guys get to pick, and then we'll have a special guest on. Not sure who, but one of you guys, one of you listeners, could be our special guest. And if you want to be on the show, let us know. Again, we're rotating a third chair every now and then, and we'd love to have your thoughts and opinions on the world of wrestling along with our own. So let's hop back in. We're not going to really highlight Raw SmackDown too much unless there are notable things. Go ahead.
The only thing I wanted to really highlight with Raw was I really didn't like how, and we talked about it a little bit last week, I feel like they're slowly destroying Retribution.
They destroyed it.
Monday was a complete destruction in my mind.
With The Fiend.
And it didn't get better.
Yeah, and it's not like, if they would have won the match against Hurt Business, it would have been a little less of a hit. But the fact that they lost to the Hurt Business and then instantly all got destroyed by one guy, it was pretty rough.
That match should have ended in a disqualification, big brawl, whatever, them all fighting, and the Fiend just not been there at all. Then that promo they did later on would have been good, because the promo was decent.
The promo was good.
It's like, who cares? You just got destroyed by one guy, and the team you've been feuding against that you can't beat. For that.
That's the thing. Why are they pairing him up in this feud, and what's the Fiend's involvement in this story? It's very confusing. The whole angle has been very confusing. And I mean, if there's a bigger story at the end of this, that's like, oh, they're not drawing that picture very well.
No, yeah, and I feel like Retribution had so much potential with how they were starting it out. And then as the story progressed, it just got worse and worse, and they're just picking up loss after loss, and it's just becoming another jobber faction that really wrestling doesn't need.
No, when they don't need it.
When Ali was the leader, I'm like, okay, this could go somewhere, and then, nothing for the week after, and then this. I'm like, so how are we supposed to take these guys seriously?
Yeah, the stock value for me is very minimal at this point. They don't do anything for me.
Yeah, I mean, you really can't take a guy named Slapjack too serious.
Man, you beat me to the punch. We were going to get to that later in the show. Because I didn't know all their names yet. But when I saw it, we'll get to the show from last night, but damn, what the hell? Slapjack. Come on.
Yeah. People just been calling him slap nuts.
Oh, yeah, listen up. Jeez. Why? Anyway, we'll get to that, I promise you. Let's talk about the continued week. On Saturday, you had mentioned, Cody, there was another pay-per-view as an alternative to AEW and WWE. What was that?
Impact had a pay-per-view, Bound of Glory. Overall, it was a pretty good show. The wrestling was pretty good on it. They did have a semi-weird match between EC3 and Moose.
Moose.
Yeah, I mean, that was more of a cinematic match.
They're doing cinematic now too?
Yeah, I think everybody's testing it out with COVID because, I mean, it is kind of weird not having any fans and everything like that.
True, fair enough. Now's the time to test it.
It was a pretty good match. The ending ended kind of weird, with EC3 pretty much dropping down to his knees and telling Moose to take him out, which he did, and then EC3 just gets carried off, and it was a little odd, but
So they're pushing Moose
it
then.
wasn't it wasn't too bad. Yeah, I mean Moose has been getting the push for a while.
Okay.
Um,
Because I
he's
know
been
when
getting the push for
EC3
about
was.
a year now.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Moose has been getting a push for about a year now as like this extremely powerful and dangerous guy.
Gotcha. Obviously, EC3 rejoining the company recently. Ethan Carter III, the big storyline was with Dixie for his first run in the company when he got his big push. EC3 was a pretty big star before leaving Impact or TNA back then to go to NXT. They dropped the ball on EC3 for the second time with WWE. If you didn't know, he was part of the competition in NXT. Or was it Tough Enough? Was he Tough Enough or NXT? I can't remember.
Wait, who was that? I blanked out for a
EC3.
second.
His very first stint with WWE. He was on one of the competitions, whether it was NXT or Tough Enough. I don't remember what it was at that particular time.
I want to say it was Tough Enough.
Okay. He ultimately was not completely signed to the company after that for very long. He left, went to TNA, built himself up, got a haircut, and he became a star. Nucci and Chet says NXT. Thank you. And he's good. I like the gimmick. The character's good. He had a really good run in Impact. It's unfortunate that they just made him a joke in WWE. Hopefully they do some good work with him being back in Impact. Speaking of back, you have some people that are back in Impact?
1 sec. Trav, you said you were like shocked they're doing cinematic. Didn't they start the cinematic stuff with the Hardy stuff? Hardy's back?
Technically, yeah. So the Hardy Compound stuff, yes. You're not wrong there. I forgot about that being, a few
Impact.
years. Yeah. Well, I knew it was
TNA.
Impact, but it was several years back. And yeah, I mean, cinematic's been a thing before. So, I mean, they've done stuff like that, edited content outside. But this year has really emphasized the push for cinematic, and it's become a thing in wrestling now. I guess that's why I reacted the way I had done. So, go on, though. Cody.
Oh, what was that?
I was going to say, who else showed up? So, MX says James Storm is back.
Correct. James Storm is back. So he was actually rumored to possibly have signed with WWE to reform Beer Money. For those of you that don't know who Beer Money is, he was a tag team with Robert Roode. And
Rode
they
a
were
cooler down to the
thinking
ring.
What was that?
I said they rode a cooler down to the ring.
Yeah, I mean, it was a pretty good tag team, but it's completely different from what Mr. Robert Roode actually is nowadays.
Yeah, it wouldn't fit his character now at all, no.
But I feel like he needs a gimmick change, so that would have been good for him.
I agree.
Because they're just teaming him back up with Dolph Ziggler out of nowhere again, which is just ridiculous.
And confusing, but,
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the only other thing that I wanted to go over about Bound for Glory was the championship match. Eric Young lost his title to Rich Swann. And actually, it was a very, very, very good match. A very good back and forth. Great storytelling. Eric Young's just so good. WWE really, really, really dropped the ball with that guy.
Well, it was Sanity as a whole, really.
Yeah, I mean, Sanity, they never even got the main roster push. They debuted and then did nothing. And then they got in trouble for speaking out about it and got split up. They sent one of them back to
UK.
Who did they send back? Killian Dane they sent to NXT.
NXT UK, though, of all places. Didn't he end up going there?
Alexander Wolf. Wolf got sent to UK.
Yeah.
So they all just got split apart, and Nikki Cross was the only one that started to get pushed.
I mean, deservedly. She's a good talent, so. And
Yeah,
I'm
but I
glad
think
she dropped the
Sanity as a
character.
whole- yeah, Sanity as a whole was just so good and had so much potential that they completely dropped the ball at that. They were great in NXT. If you were like a diehard NXT fan at that time when they were dominating down there, it was great to watch. They easily could have been a dominant faction on the main roster, just causing chaos.
I'd love an episode sometime discussing why things work so well down in NXT and then get just horribly handled on the main roster. And I know the simple excuse is, well, Vince or Triple H or creative, but even the people that have the same gimmick, there are just things that are lost from a giant arena compared to a more personal audience. And maybe that's the simple reason, too. But I'd love an episode sometime. And Bailey, but I mean, Bailey is in the best character I've ever seen right now. Like the best stuff we've seen.
I meant her original character, the happy-go-lucky, worked well with the audience because she could interact with them. But
right.
then when it's the much bigger,
she's just a female Chris Jericho right now,
and it's wonderful. We'll get to that too. She had a match last night at the pay-per-view. So I mean, overall, like, is that something that you'd recommend listeners if they are not a frequent Impact viewer to check out this pay-per-view?
Yeah, I mean, it was a pretty decent pay-per-view. If you like actual, like, good matches and you really don't care about getting too invested in the story, Bound for Glory was very good for that.
Perfect. And they have the app. If you want to pay for it, it's like $7 or $10 a month. You get their archive content. But there are also free sites too, which we could put in the description. But again, that takes away from the money that, well, I guess corporate probably gets. I don't know who sees the dividends from it, but do some research before you spend your money on things to make sure people that deserve the money get the money. So let's talk about last night. There was a pay-per-view. Did you guys both watch?
Yep.
Hell in a Cell. Now, heading into this one, we had possibly mixed emotions because of what happened at Hell in a Cell 2019. I'm pretty sure I can speak for both of you guys to say that we were all disappointed with how last year played out.
Yep.
So there were some reservations to be had for this one. Ultimately, I'll say now, it surprised me. It was better than I thought it'd be, which is good. But was it a great pay-per-view? Let's break it down, shall we? Like DX.
Go for it.
Very surprised about the opening match. I thought this would finish.
Yeah.
The main event.
So, R-Truth, is he in the 40s now? For the 24/7 championship. It was an actual legit match.
That was on the pre-show. I didn't watch the pre-show.
Oh, gotcha. So I'll run through the pre-show real quick. R-Truth defended his title against Drew Gulak for the 24/7 championship. A very short match, ended with Lucha House Party. Who else ran down? A bunch of people ran down and chased them out of there after R-Truth won.
Akira Tozawa and the Ninjas.
That's right. So they're continuing that. R-Truth's still fantastic. I think he's a great talent. He plays the character very well. I just hate the belt. This is just such a dumb belt. It's overstayed its welcome. And Drew Gulak, like, you were just not too long ago feuding with Daniel Bryan, and like, what are we doing with him?
I don't know. I thought how the match started was really funny though. I did enjoy that.
So recall, like, how did it start?
So Drew Gulak was acting like he was talking to Little Jimmy, who, if anybody knows who Little Jimmy is, he's R-Truth's imaginary friend.
No, he's real though.
Yeah, he's real. Gulak then punted Little Jimmy and trying to get a rise out of R-Truth, which worked. And R-Truth exploded. And I did love the start of that match just because the whole Little Jimmy thing. R-Truth is just fantastic.
Oh, he sells it so well. His facial expression during that. He was like, "Are
Yeah, he
you
doesn't
serious?"
get nearly enough credit.
No, he's a great talent. He's been around a long time. So
I just hate the way that the 24/7 belt. It's just everybody. 90% of them are. Oh, we rolled you up. That's the end.
oh,
At
it's
least
like
with
the hardcore belt.
title. Well, they at least hit people with stuff, and that would be like, okay, I can see that getting a pin off of a chair shot, but just
Yeah,
to roll
and-
up every time, and it's like,
But they caught you by
We've
surprise.
We've even seen people get pinned off of like one punch and falling to the ground and getting pinned.
They weren't prepared.
I mean, I guess, but you see them take a lot more than them actual matches.
They must have had food poisoning, Cody.
Wow. You're gonna go that low on me.
I had to it fit. We'll go with that.
I'll accept it.
So that was the pre-show. They still have an hour-long pre-show with one match and just playing the same trailers we see all week long, hyping up things. I just wish they did more or shorten the pre-show. It doesn't need to be an hour. And
I agree with you.
it's just one of those, like, I don't know. 30 minutes is great. NXT does 30 and it works. So, hey, WWE, you don't need an hour pre-show to show trailers and commercials that we've already seen. Like, this shouldn't be a commercial anyways. It's a freaking pay-per-view.
Yeah, I mean, an IC title match would have been nice.
you got to get the legends' opinions.
Do we, though? Oh, speaking of,
Yeah.
Jeff Jarrett was on the panel. That was nice to see.
What was
I
it?
heard that.
Something quack quack.
Ducky?
Yeah. Booker
Yeah.
T's little thing.
Ducky quack. Yeah, I don't know. Booker T, I don't like him on commentary. That's just my
No.
opinion. I know there are people that like him. He's not my favorite on commentary. He's a great talent in the ring. Shucky
There it
Ducky.
is.
There you go. Thank you. See, I just ignore him on commentary. I didn't like him when he was on Impact on commentary. I preferred his time in WCW. I didn't like him in WWE. A lot of the stuff that he did with him there, they diminished his value. But that's for another topic too. 2012 flashbacks coming back. Good
I
Lord.
like Wade Barrett on commentary from NXT now.
Yeah,
I like
he's a
better
great
in the
speaker. He's a great speaker. But yeah, you say he's not in the arena ever?
No, he's not a wrestler anymore, which he still could be. He's in the prime of his life right now.
Is he though? Isn't he? How old is he? He's got to be almost 40.
Mid-30s.
No.
I could do a quick Google search real quick.
Yeah, if you don't mind, I'm betting he's in his 40s. There's no way he's still in his 30s.
Wade Barrett is... Oh, okay. So he is 40.
Yeah.
He had just turned 40 in August.
I'm afraid I've got some bad news.
But I mean, Randy Orton's 40, so what does that really hurt?
No, it's fine. Some can hang, some don't. And that's the game. Not Triple H, but the game reference. I'm not saying he can't or can hang. I'm getting all mixed up here in names and things. Speaking of Randy Orton, we'll get to him. He played a very important role in this particular pay-per-view. But let's kick off the actual pay-per-view itself, which was surprising to me. And Trevor, I think you mentioned that as well. Roman Reigns,
Yeah.
Jey Uso, Hell in a Cell I Quit match kicking off the show.
Yeah, I really thought this would have been the main event.
For as much effort they've put into this storyline, I feel it should have been. It was an odd choice.
The only reason I don't think it was is because the ending, like how it played out at the end there with the storytelling. I don't know if that would have been like a good go-off point, but I think it could have worked.
You know, honestly, pay-per-view going off the air with the Anoa family standing there and, making him the head of the table, if you will.
Yeah.
Acknowledging him. Acknowledge me.
Yeah,
Trevor.
that would have been better than it opening the match. And honestly, for me, I love the storytelling. I've loved this whole storyline. But that match just felt like it dragged and dragged and dragged. And I looked at my phone at the end of the match, and it was 7:50, meaning we had 50 minutes of just the ref asking way too many times.
Well, the
"Do you
match
quit? Do you
itself
quit?"
didn't get started until 7:15. So 15 minutes into the pay-per-view is when the actual match started.
Yeah, so you're still looking at 35 minutes.
It was a 30-minute match almost.
It
was a
felt
long
like it
match.
went so long.
It was. It dragged. It definitely dragged.
I have decent match, but a little slow. But the storytelling throughout was pretty damn good.
MX and chat
I enjoyed it.
Go ahead.
Even if it wasn't a spot, there wasn't a lot of big spots. What there was, I thought was really good. And the ending, him grabbing Jimmy, putting him in the guillotine, making his brother say I quit because he wasn't going to quit for anything that Roman did to him. That was a great ending. And then his father and uncle coming out and making him, like, giving him the lay, not saying you are at the head of the table, basically, like you said. I thought it was great storytelling.
Yeah, I mean, they're going somewhere with this. They're building, and that's the thing that I'm excited about is the potential of The Rock getting involved. I want to see The Rock wrestle again. I'm a fan of The Rock. I think he can still go, and I think he is in fantastic shape to still put on a great match.
Have you seen his Instagram in the past couple days?
No.
He is huge. Absolutely huge. Way bigger than he's ever been.
He's like obsessed with his physique now. I mean, if you look back on the beginning, like the man has reverse aged.
Oh, he absolutely has. But if there's anything that I think you should do after this show, it is look on The Rock's Instagram and look at his video that he just posted for his daughter's birthday of him carrying a cake. He is absolutely massive.
And he's what, approaching 50?
Yeah, I mean, he's up there, and he doesn't look anywhere close to that.
No, I'm excited for the potential match there. At what point, though, because that's a Mania match. I don't see them, well, maybe Rumble, but it should be a Mania match.
Yeah, that has to be Mania.
Yeah,
I think Roman has to keep the title till then.
Well, he's not dropping it before that. Who else do you introduce in this feud, though, to kill time? Like, we've already seen 2 J matches. Does Jimmy come in?
Well, now you have Seth over there now, which we are probably going to see that.
No.
We have AJ.
I mean, that's
AJ's on Raw.
Yeah, AJ's on Raw. But
you're right.
Seth's busy and preoccupied with the Mysterios.
You can have Mysterio.
No.
I don't think that's going to... That's going way too long. I don't think that's going to last too much longer.
I mean, he's got to have a couple people. I don't even know. Like, even the conclusion of this story last night, like, is it over? Obviously, we're continuing to get more personal. I see a trilogy. I see one more.
I think they're gonna have they're gonna be a faction now, because that was the stipulation. If either they become like his servant and recognize him as the head of the table, or he disowns them from the family, and nobody in the family will speak to them.
So are they not going to then... What they could do is have him not defend the belt at Survivor Series, put him in a traditional Survivor Series elimination match, get 2 more people for this family support.
The rumor is him, the Usos, and Naomi at the moment. I haven't even seen her on SmackDown or
you would
Raw.
have to have Tamina in there.
Yeah, you could throw Tamina in there as well.
Do we have to have Tamina?
What's wrong with Tamina?
I mean, that is their family.
Yeah, but is she a good wrestler? No.
I think she's way better than she...
She's better than...
I don't know.
Better than Nia Jax.
I just find her boring.
She's way better than Nia Jax.
I like Nia better, but she's the worst because she hurts people. So I do agree that she needs to go back and get trained about more.
Nia Jax matches are boring. They're the same. MX says, the F you me, do we have to have Tamina? What do you mean by that?
Hey, it's my opinion. Fuck you.
Wow. There goes the one listener we have. But yeah, the thing is, they could play it safe, and they've done it in the past before where the champion doesn't necessarily defend the belt at Survivor Series. So, Shade says, Nakata. What's up, Nakata? Happy Halloween, my friend. Cross is watching. Not really, but shout out to Cross. That poor guy.
Were we gonna have a star rating for this, or are we just doing that for the retro?
I just did it for the retro. We can throw one out there if you want. So
I would have gave this one a 4-star.
4-star, Cody.
Yeah,
I would have gave it 3. It dragged too long.
I just did it for the story.
Yeah,
I like the
was
story.
great. 4 for the story. 3 because it took way too long to get it out.
Yeah, I mean, creativeness, I Quit match in a Hell in a Cell, it could have been more. And we'll get to the other Hell in a Cell matches because there were 3 of them in this show. Too many, but, you know. I'll give it a 3 out of 5 just because they could have utilized the actual structure better, and they didn't. Our next match was Elias and Jeff Hardy, with Elias going over Hardy by disqualification. Thoughts, feelings?
I mean, I think it was just because it followed the Hell in a Cell and it was just a short. Plus, they didn't build this feud at all, like, really. I mean, they had it all those months ago when he hit him with the car, but they just reintroduced this feud on Raw.
Question. Do we care?
No.
And that's a problem.
I mean,
Go ahead.
I think they'll keep building it so you care a little more, but right now it was just like, no, nobody cared. That's why it was a quick match and not. I mean, he lost, but did he really lose because he hit him with the guitar?
I mean, that was a loud pop too when he hit him. I was like, whoa.
I mean, I will say I haven't cared about anything Jeff Hardy has done in a very long time.
I 100% agree with that.
Yeah.
I was one of the people that was not happy to see the Hardy Boys back at WrestleMania a few years back, because at that moment in time, I thought that it's been so long now, I'm forgetting the names. Big Cass and Enzo, they had that momentum. They should have done something big at that Mania, and it was...
Yeah, they should have gotten their first tag titles.
Yes, at that show, and it was squashed by the returning Hardys. And I know everyone popped for that moment, but I haven't been big on the Hardy Boys as a tag team in a long time. I've been more on the side of Matt Hardy doing his best work in his career now, whereas Jeff Hardy is just kind of going through the motions. He's not really that creative in the ring anymore.
Locke's correct. The Good Brothers could have used it. And,
Yes,
At
that's
that
true,
time, I'm
Locke.
pretty sure the Good Brothers had already had a set of tag titles by that point.
Yeah, but you could have
Did they
introduced them with AJ Styles at that point.
Were
they ever have a
were
long
they the tramps
run?
walking into it?
I can't remember.
Huh.
We'd have to look back on that.
There is the rumor that he wants to have a match against the Fiend as Willow.
And I mean,
he does want to.
that's fine. It's interesting. I don't know. The other thing that bothers me with the Jeff Hardy things that they've been doing is why the constant stabs at his demons from his past. Like, why are we using that for everyone to emphasize a rivalry?
Well, you talked about it earlier about if WWE finds something that works, they just keep going and keep going and keep going until it gets stale and everybody's sick of it.
Yeah. Shout out Netcutta. Happy Halloween to you. Locke says the bar. He thought the bar was champs going in. But yeah,
That's a good possibility.
WWE. We said that earlier. They beat a dead horse. It's just one of those things. Like, it's uncomfortable. That we all know the reality. If you're a wrestling fan and know anything outside, even slightly outside the WWE as far as news, reality news, he has substance abuse issues. He has, alcoholism. Supposedly he's sober. Let's hope so. There have been many talents in the past that have succumbed to various things of this sort. Wrestling is one of those entertainment things where you see so many people dying from these types of things, and it's sad. Thankfully, he's not on that list. Hopefully he doesn't ever get to be. But the use of some of these shock value things, and then to this extent, is unnecessary and uncomfortable.
Gallows and Anderson were the tag champs going into that.
They were? Okay.
Makes sense.
So, again, basically what I'm saying here, long story short, is I'd like to see something else out of Jeff Hardy.
Yeah, and I mean, I honestly don't see them stopping with this. I mean, he's up there in age. I don't think he really has that much longer, maybe another year or two. At this point, they've already gone too far.
Yeah, he's only under a short... I don't know if he's extended his contract, but I know because of injury it was extended, which is why he's not on the same timeline as Matt Hardy was. So
I think he just re-signed recently.
Did he? Okay.
I believe so. It was only like a 1-year deal.
And that's fine. You know, maybe it is for the best that they keep them separated. No Offspring reference, please. But like I said, for Matt Hardy, he's doing unique things, and he needs that at this point in his career because he was always, in my opinion, in the shadow of Jeff. There were only a couple feuds where he stepped out of that.
Yeah, it all depended on what gimmick he was using.
Like Mentor to Shannon Moore was fun.
Longer about this match than the match actually was.
That's true. We'll move on. The match itself was fairly short.
At best.
What do you guys score it?
What were we saying, Travis?
I said, what do you guys score it? We'll move on from this match.
I'll give it a 1, unless we want to go lower, like half star. It was there.
Give it a 1.
Yeah, I'll lean on a 1, maybe 2, just out of generosity, because I do like Elias. I just think it could have been better.
Yeah, I like Elias too, but just it was so short, and there was this. The ending was just like, okay, that's an ending, I guess.
But it wasn't the shortest match on the card. That is still to come. Our next match was for the Money in the Bank contract, which at the time, heading into this, was held by Otis. Oh, yeah. Kool-Aid Man. What do you guys think? Thoughts?
I wish they'd have kept it on Otis, and he would have cashed in for the tag titles, because that would have made sense for him and Tucker, or they were together at whatever the hell his name, Tucky. Yeah, they would have made sense, and we hadn't seen that before with the Money in the Bank. Usually it's for the main title, but
and you brought that up on an episode, I believe, didn't you?
Maybe.
If you didn't, you should have, because I know it was brought up. We talked about it.
Yeah, we talked about it on the first episode.
Okay. Which, that I think was the first time I'd ever even heard of that being a logical idea. And I was 100% for that when you had mentioned that. But that's not what happened. What happened?
Yeah, I mean, I enjoy this. I really don't like... I really didn't like Otis as Money in the Bank, unless they would have gone with the tag titles. But then again, I would have thought about it the same way I did a couple weeks ago, that it's ruining the credibility of the Money in the Bank briefcase. One thing I didn't like about this match was how they broke up another tag team when they're already desperate for tag teams.
I mean, they already broke up because Tucker's on Raw and Otis is still on SmackDown.
Yeah, but this finalized it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Tucker striking Otis with the case and making him lose the case to The Miz. That ends it right there. Officially.
Don't get me wrong. I love The Miz. Think he's great heel, good wrestler, and I hope he does cash in and actually gets another title run.
Oh, he better.
But who's he going to cash in against? Orton is the only one that makes sense, because I don't think they're taking Roman's title away anytime soon.
No, it would be Orton.
Well, here's the thing.
He doesn't need the title.
Spoiler for later.
Yeah, I was going to say, we'll get to that. Here's the thing, my thought on it, since we're talking about Money in the Bank. I agree. I don't think they're going to utilize it with Roman. They have another whole direction planned for that. He's not going to get involved there. What I do think is that Miz is going to get involved, and it's going to be around the time Edge returns. And that's going to be some trifecta of a rivalry with those three. And I'm all for that. MX says, I'm all for the Miz Money in the Bank. Last reign was overshadowed by Rock and Cena. Yes, it was. Yep. 100%. I remember that so well 10 years ago. The sitting in the truck with all the screens, the Nas promo for The Miz heading into the match. Like, it was fantastic, well deserved, and that's the last time he had the belt. I'm ready for this again. The man's a workhorse. He's been in the company over 16 years. He's one of the most tenured on the roster. If anyone's surprised by this, that is a fact. He deserves this. But personally, I think the direction that they should go or will go is related with Edge's return from injury and going after Orton and having those three feuding heading into Mania. Because to me, that's money.
He's great on the mic.
Well, all three are.
Yeah, I was just talking about because him in the match. But yes, they all are great in the mic. But him, the Miz, is just like so good on the mic right now. He can make you hate him. He was only okay as a face, but as a heel, I hate that guy.
Yeah, he's a natural heel.
Most people do. I'm like, I love him because he's awesome. And
pun intended, huh?
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah, he's great. No, he's a better heel than a face. I agree. And again, I just hope they do the right things here, and they did the right thing. Personally, I don't think Otis should have gotten the Money in the Bank briefcase. I was speaking with Lana last night during the pay-per-view on that. And she had said it just to give him credibility and a push, which makes sense. Let's hope this storyline gives both Otis that continued push, especially with losing everything that was getting him the push, and then Tucky, if that's the name we're going to continue going with. Hopefully this does something for him, but I'm going to say probably not. If it's my...
I don't even see how he got a push from it. He didn't do anything. He never even teased cashing in, really.
No, but they sold a lot of merch.
Yeah.
That shirt that's Body by Steak. I want that shirt.
He did kind of tease the cash in with Braun, and then just told him, "Just kidding," and walked away.
The only real time.
But that was it. That was it. They kind of wasted months and months and months of Otis's Money in the Bank. You could have had somebody
how he won.
You could have had somebody like AJ Styles have the briefcase and actually do something meaningful with it.
Yeah, they dropped the ball on Money in the Bank as a whole this year. That's really the ending story to this. Now this is their last shot to make it worthwhile by putting on The Miz. And I think it's the right choice at the end of the day.
I give the match a 3.
Oh, you're generous.
Well, I like The Miz, and hopefully he can do something with the belt, the briefcase, not the belt. Well, hopefully he can do something with the belt, too.
Right. I give it 2, maybe a 3, just because of bias, because they made the right decision. But the match itself, other than the ending with the betrayal, it's not memorable.
Yeah, I agree with you. I'd give it a 2 or a 3. I'd push straight down the middle for a 2.5 because I do like what they did in the match with the decision, giving it to somebody that actually might make the case meaningful. But overall, the match wasn't anything that's going to be talked about for a long time to come.
No. No, definitely not.
Plus, I wasn't a fan of the build-up with the court and all that.
No, it was cheesy.
Yeah, it was super weird.
Everything Morrison's been involved with since he's been back has been cheesy.
Which is so unfitting of who he is and what he can do.
Hey. Ho, ho.
This conversation has got to go on to the next match. Speaking of memorable, one that will be memorable, I feel, for a long time. Hell in a Cell for the WWE SmackDown Women's Championship. Champion Bayley going in against challenger Sasha Banks.
I put down for this one because match of the night, and I had a question mark so far. But match of the night for me, easily.
I agree.
This one.
I agree. I was all in for this feud and rivalry.
The storyline is great for this match. The wrestling was great. The two meteors into the cage looked brutal as hell.
Into the chair that sent on the sunset. God, what the hell is the name of that?
Flip.
Yeah, the sunset flip into the chair that she took. Speaking of Sasha, wow, the kendo stick usage.
Except for the two tied together, that was a
It
little
didn't
weak.
work out, but the innovation spot, stuff that we haven't seen
Yes.
yet in a Hell in a Cell, that's what I admired here. They were stepping it up and showcasing why they are the best in the division.
This
And I
is
just
what we
want to
want.
point out. I just want to point out Sasha Banks, every time she is in a Hell in a Cell match, she turns it to absolute gold. And because last year she had that match with Becky Lynch, and that match was match of the night. This year she has one with Bailey, and it's match of the night. Stuff we've never seen before in Hell in a Cell matches, and it was just absolutely phenomenal.
So I was watching a documentary on Bailey preparing for this match and giving, the real story of herself out of character and thoughts and emotions. She highlighted one fact. Sasha Banks had never won a Hell in a Cell match leading into this. So it was at that point I knew, and at the point in this rivalry, now's the time. And I feel they made the right decision by having Sasha Banks go over Bailey. Spoiler alert.
I'm glad Sasha won, but I was a little surprised. I thought they might have her lose and then go off TV for a while and then come back, win the Rumble, and then at Mania.
Who else is on TV right now, though? That's the thing. It's so shallow. The
Yeah,
whole roster is so shallow. They can't do that.
Yeah.
And you would kind of deflate the feud by having it come back again. I mean, now is the time to pull the trigger. They pulled it perfectly. There was a lot of emotion invested into this story, and that was the end of this chapter.
Yeah, this is what we want from the women's division. More storylines like this and great wrestling.
Well, this is what we want from any division. This is wrestling.
Yes. Not just random matches. These two have had the build-up. There was parts that weren't great, but then for the most part, this has been a great story.
Yeah, I've enjoyed it. Locke said this ended what was the longest women's championship run of the modern era, from his understanding. That is fact, yes. Bailey is, for cumulative, for the women's championship, she is second of all time for cumulative days as champion. She is beating Charlotte and her, over a dozen or whatever it is now, title reigns.
Yeah, she's over 900 days total.
Yeah,
the only one that beat her is Moolah with 7,000 because.
Yeah, I think it's 10,000. It was over a course of a decade.
Yeah.
But it's because they didn't have the title on the show for that long either. If you recall, the championship belt didn't return until the late 90s.
Well, that and Moolah wouldn't let anybody beat her.
Yeah.
In her contract.
But yeah, I give this one, honestly, the innovative spots, the great storytelling, the use of the structure, the emotion. I give it a 5 out of 5. This is my first, since we brought the show back, perfect score for a match. I take that back.
Yeah.
No, I give a 5 out of 5 the HBK Triple H Retro one. So my second 5 out of 5. But it's worthy of such.
Yeah, I can give this one a 5. This was easily the best match.
Yeah, I'd also give this a 5. I think this match was their best match together, not just the best match of the night. And that includes their NXT TakeOver match. I think this surpassed that by quite a margin.
And I mean, the real payoff for us fans, too, if you've been watching since the network launched and you've had the privilege of having the network since day one and seeing all that early NXT stuff, you got to see these talents rise from obscurity. They were homegrown talents. They weren't anything elsewhere, really. I mean, I guess Bailey was independent, but that's about it. These are homegrown talents, mostly. So we've got to see these two rise and have the success, well-deserved success.
Yeah.
Should have been main event. But hey, we'll speak on that in a moment here.
That I can agree with. I can agree with that one being the main event.
We talked about Retribution. Well, let's talk about Retribution. Slapjack getting to challenge Bobby Lashley in a match that was not promoted for the card originally for the United States Championship. A 3-minute and 50-second match.
Yeah, I'm not gonna call him Slapjack. I'm gonna call him Shane Thorne, because Slapjack's just a ridiculous name.
Oh, it's awful.
Uh,
That's a card
so,
game.
so I'm just gonna call him his normal name, Shane Thorne, because hopefully he goes back to that very soon. Um, yeah, that match again. I just like on Monday night, it did nothing for Retribution, but bring them down even lower than they already were. And just losing that quickly to Bobby Lashley. Yes, Slapjack Shane Thorne is probably the worst member of Retribution, but not only did Bobby Lashley beat him, but when they came in to jump him, they all lost.
Yeah, it
They
was
got
like
scared out of the ring by just Bobby Lashley. And
the rest
two
of
of them
them.
are huge men.
Yeah.
The rest of them were coming down, and I'm like, why are you coming down to help him? He's easily taking care of all four of them.
Yeah, he easily took all of them out, which is just it's awful for Retribution as a whole. This is not gonna go. I can't take them serious now. Most wrestling fans can't take them serious now. This has absolutely ruined them.
I have
Whatever
that.
push they had before,
It's gone.
I just can't take it. No, I just can't take it
Yeah.
serious anymore.
And it's gone.
It's dead. Yeah, just like that. It's gone.
Hurt Business, best thing on Raw.
I like the Hurt Business.
Raw.
You shouldn't have these two together right now if you're trying to build towards a Survivor Series match, which looks like what they wanted to do, but does anybody care? Do we
Here's
want to
the
see that match?
thing that kind of sucks. They should be utilizing non-on-screen NXT talent like they've done with jobbers in the past. If you want to properly build Retribution, just have them destroying people for weeks on weeks and weeks. Same with Hurt Business. Don't have two things you're trying to build as being credible, feuding with each other, and have a squash match with one of the members and then have him take out the entire faction. Bad booking. I have zero faith that they can rejuvenate Retribution.
Second time in a week, one person is taking out the whole faction.
Yeah. This is bad. And like you said, I think any fan right now is not on board with that.
And for that reason, I give this a -4.
-4. Can we
don't
give
even-
negatives?
They've
No
ruined,
score.
Yeah, they've ruined such a greatly potential thing. This faction has at least one very, very good wrestler on it that is just getting punished at this point. Dominik Dijakovic should not be losing this bad.
Oh no, he's had some amazing matches down in NXT.
Him
Yeah,
and Keith
now
Lee,
Yeah.
He's just done.
phenomenal.
That match, specifically that match with Keith Lee, he really showcased his talents. They both showcased their talents in that match.
Yeah, so I stick with my -4.
You know, I was going to have us just sticking to 1 through 5, but I'm going to give a 0 myself.
I awarded no points, and we're all dumber for having watched it.
Yes, and thankfully it was only
Yeah.
3 minutes and 50 seconds. We spent more time talking about it than the actual thing was on the air. So let's head into our main event, which was Drew McIntyre against Randy Orton for the WWE Championship inside Hell in a Cell. Thoughts?
It was a good match. It was just very slow in the beginning. Definitely picked up towards the end, but it's any typical Randy Orton match. It's very slow paced, and I'm not gonna lie, I dozed off last night during this match and had to rewatch it again today. Just very, it's just not my style of wrestling. It's very slow paced and didn't do much for me. And it doesn't help that these two, we've seen them nonstop since right after Mania.
Basically, yeah. All summer.
And you know it's
It's
going to
been
keep going.
nonstop. Yeah, and it's just going to keep going, and this feud is dragging way too long.
It truly is, and I don't think it was supposed to be the original plan here. I'm sure they had many other plans, but this year's been upside down as it was. The biggest thing in regarding upside down, which is my stance and support of Drew McIntyre, ever since he won the Rumble, I've been upside down with my support for him. I was very excited when he returned to NXT, when he won the championship there, when they did big things with him on the main roster, the heel push. I was like, okay, This guy is good. He sucks as a face. I don't like him. I don't like him on the mic as a face. I don't like him in the ring as a face. I did not like his run as champion one bit.
I didn't think it was that bad.
I liked it, but I
Better
think
than Braun.
it would have been better with
Yeah.
if there was crowds there to cheer him. Actually, I mean, it's been a little better with the Thunderdome, but without people there, and there was just no pop. And
Even with people, he's not a good face. And
I mean, I think he's a good face, but he's just talking to the same heel over and over, and they're doing the same stuff every single week. That doesn't help the case at all.
No, that does not help. The thing that I disliked about this match the most were the weird transitions to spots. Transition to get outside of the cell, a transition to fight on top of the cell, the transition to get to the very visible footsteps only on that spot, conveniently in front of the table, which was conveniently extra padded for a spot that looked pretty painful that he took. And then the weird transition to get him back into the ring to finish the match. Like, it was just, the transitions were very forced.
I didn't like that they went up and then we're halfway down for the fall off spot. I mean, if Shane can jump off the top of that thing and he's older than well, I don't know if he's older than Orton, but he's definitely
older than Orton.
McIntyre.
He's in his 50s now, I believe.
Yeah, well, if he can do it, then one of them could have fell off the top from up there. Because
those screens,
that's
though.
a lot to ask, though.
It is a lot to ask, especially somebody that competes, multiple times a week, where Shane only shows up for a match every now and then.
Yeah, I mean, you asked me to jump off that cell onto, even if it's a padded table, I'm probably going to tell you to kick rocks.
For the first time in watching wrestling, I actually seeing those two, and I don't know if it was the angles, the lighting, or having those Thunderdome screens around, seeing all the electrical stuff. For the first time as a wrestling fan, I was like, that's really high, and that's making me nervous for both of them right now. Like, I never, ever felt that emotion, because I felt it was always controlled, with quotations. Controlled as can be, even though people have fallen through accidentally, Mick Foley. I was just kind of like, that's sketchy right now. What are they doing?
Yeah, that's very high up. I mean, obviously people can jump off of it and be safe, but I mean, it is a tall task to say, hey, jump off of this thing.
Yeah.
The only people that would really do it are guys like Shane, and Kevin Owens will do it, and that's maybe Jeff Hardy, but that's about it.
Yeah, it takes a special talent to do something like that, because, I mean, I've jumped off stuff in my life. I'm not jumping off that thing.
It was a little weird that they had the pipe up there, too. Just like, did he climb up there and put that on there before, like, anybody else was in the building?
Yeah, I don't know. It was weird. And, maybe it's the red cell, too, that makes it more intimidating. I don't know. But that was weird. But I was laughing, though, at the foot holders on the side, because I'd never seen that before. I don't think that's ever been a thing. And they also had a camera on the inside.
Luxury.
Go ahead.
Randy Orton luxury getting some footholds.
I guess. I mean, whatever reason, hey, go for it. Whatever helps you guys be safe. I don't want to see really anyone getting hurt, but the camera too. Did you guys notice the camera mounted in the cell? I've never noticed that before.
No.
If you go back and watch, there's a camera mounted on the side of the cell. There's like a bar that reaches out. It's on camera side, so in the same direction that we see, so you can't see it other than a few choice angles. So I thought that was weird, and I don't know if it was used. There were a couple other camera spots too, the rotating around the corners, like the high angle shots, like if it was almost like a drone or something. I thought that was interesting shots they were doing. So they're just trying things out, and I appreciate the innovativeness. It's what stepped them up to the visual appeal that they are now compared to other companies. So it's just weird. It's things I notice every now and then when they're trying them out. Just like the corner cameras, when they used to have cameras in the corner. I know New Japan has done that. A lot of companies have done that in the past,
AEW
but
still does.
AEW still does it. Okay, so I know that's a thing. It's just it's weird to sometimes see them testing out things randomly and not even acknowledging that they're doing so.
Well, AEW does it very blatantly. To like, John Moxley like goes up and talks to it.
Does he?
Yeah, like he puts his like face in the camera and talks.
That's funny.
Like after matches.
Breaking the fourth wall.
Oh, he does every single time.
Let's get to our main feature, which is the rotating. Unless we have any other thoughts or emotions we want to add. Again, Orton's the champion. We talked about right decision. Personally, I feel.
Yeah, I mean, Randy Orton deserves it for what it's worth. I mean, he's been the best heel of the year for sure. But I mean, I think he's just a transitional champion at this point. A
14-time transitional champion. He's tied with Triple H now. Keep in mind.
If you look at the guys that have all these title reigns, not many of them are that high in the cumulative.
A lot of heels aren't, though, I don't think. I could be wrong with that sentiment.
No, but I don't even think John Cena's really that high. A lot of his titles he lost very quickly.
Yeah, when he was feuding with Edge years and years ago, they were back and forth with the title exchanges.
Yeah.
And I mean, almost like a next pay-per-view basis, so every like 4 weeks, 3 weeks.
What do you guys give score for this one?
Oh, yeah, we should probably score it. I give it a 3.
I was thinking 3.5.
Yeah, I'd say 3. It might have been a 4 if it didn't make me fall asleep.
Overall, for the pay-per-view, though, I would give the whole thing a 4, just based on the first and the women's match mainly. But I mean, the last match was good-ish, but
yeah, I'd lean 3.5, 4. It is better than expected.
I'd give it a 3. I wouldn't give it that high. I really don't think a lot of the matches were that good. I think the women's match saved it.
Yeah.
The opening match, like I said before, I thought it was just way too long. It was very good storytelling, but I just thought it was way too long. And that kind of became a theme with all of the Hell in a Cell matches besides the women's match.
Well, yeah, they took up half the card. That's why we only had 6.
So long and drawn out that you really didn't need all that for no real spots being done.
At this point, just do the whole show inside the Hell in a Cell.
Yeah,
I don't think the Hell in a Cell was needed for any of them. The women's match would probably be the one that was used the most. So, but the other two were just like they were just a match. The Cell was just there for most. I know they went on top of it, but it didn't really do anything with that except for toss him off the side halfway down.
Yeah.
Sasha at least used it with the knees, the Meteoras, and other spots.
Sasha Banks is just so good.
Well, here's hoping they continue to improve and it continues to get better, because it still has potential, obviously, with our score to be better next year. So here's hoping.
Yeah. Well, like I said, get rid of the Hell in a Cell as the pay-per-view. Make it just a match that comes around once in a while.
I agree.
Or Halloween Havoc. Don't just make it NXT's Halloween Havoc.
I was like, speaking of, that's this week Wednesday. Brought to you by Shotzi.
That's weird, too.
So let's time travel a bit to one of the potentially most recognizable or talked about spots in Royal Rumble history. Let's go back to the year 1995 and kick off with, yes, Pamela Anderson arriving in a limo to the roster, cheering her on. Man, were you excited back then to see that?
Nope, I was 1.
You were 1? I was 10, so I
was
don't
16,
recall.
so yes.
Yeah, okay, I was going to say, yeah, you probably would have been.
So I was more excited seeing her with Tommy Lee.
You said what now?
I was more excited seeing her with Tommy Lee.
Yikes. Yeah, there was. This one's not for the kids, apparently. Vince opens the show with Jerry the King Lawler, so they're on commentary. Pamela gets escorted to her dressing room. We kick off the show with the Intercontinental Championship match. Razor Ramon, the bad guy, against Jeff Jarrett with the roadie. What do you guys think?
I like this one. I mean, it wasn't the greatest match, but it was a decent opener. I liked Razor Ramon always, and I never had a problem with Double J. It just wasn't like a favorite.
Yeah. It was just a mediocre match, I thought. I mean, it was a good opener.
Yeah, I have like a 3-star for this one because it was kind of funny how Double J goaded him to coming back after he had already won the match but didn't win the title. So he used Razor's machismo, calling him a coward.
They kept saying that. They kept saying machismo during the match on commentary. It's cracking me up.
I always liked Vince on commentary before he was Mr. McMahon, though.
The dude knows how to tell a story. You got to give him that. He may not be in his prime anymore if he's still in control of certain things or if he's got the final say, but he knew how to tell a story. He's very old school, though, clearly, because he's old school as far as his content approach, but you can always tell what he has creative control over. For this, I said Razor was in his prime. And I may get hate mail for this, or you may agree with me, but Razor is better than Nash. I don't like Diesel.
I always like Diesel.
I don't think the only value Diesel ever truly had was his mic work. I don't think he's a good in-ring performer.
I don't think either of them were really that great.
I think Razor had a lot of value. I think he was a good in-ring performer during these few years. He had a short window of greatness. So some of my notes were later within a year, of course, the Outsiders, Hall and Nash, would end up going to WCW after this. This is an introductory angle for Rhodey. We would end up knowing him more so as the Road Dogg. So Jeff Jarrett kind of introduced us to that. This was really good Jeff Jarrett work. He would get better as the 90s would go on. This was an era of wrestling where we put a lot of work and emphasis into good managers, which is something that we don't value enough anymore. Thankfully, we still have people like Paul Heyman. But managers are far and few between now. The showboating work of Jeff Jarrett was prime in this era. And we had a lot of back and forth with match restarting, the injury angle where the match just kind of fell apart with Razor and then him trying to overcome it. And then pinfall victory, Jeff Jarrett becomes IC champion. I give it a 3 out of 5.
Yeah, I gave it a 3. But him working the knee after Rhodey hit him with that chop block, and then he collapsed because of it. That's how the Double J got the pin with the small package. Was really good. Like a good ending, made sense.
Yeah, I mean it was a good transition. It was giving Jeff Jarrett credibility he needed at this time. Quick shout out to Batman in chat. Thanks for the host, checking us out.
I remember being pissed because Razor lost when I was a kid. When I was 16, so kid.
Still a kid. You're super into it at that age, so understandable. Cody, any additional, or Trevor, anybody?
No, I mean, I thought it was a pretty average match. It was well worked, and I've never really liked small package endings, but neither do most.
That's what she said.
That's what I was going for.
Anyway, you started this. If we don't have any more on the opening match, again, a good opener for the Royal Rumble to kick things off. We then go backstage with Todd Pettengill and Pamela Anderson opening up gifts, which were mostly merch items. WWE,
it felt like
merch items.
It felt like basically all of them were merch items.
Product.
You got a Lex
placement.
Luger shirt and everything.
One
else.
size fits all.
Yeah.
Very awkward.
It was weird. And then it was like pre-Attitude Era too. They tried to have like some awkward like sexual spot with it.
Yeah, especially later.
Yeah. We'll get to that. So that was weird. And then we segued to. Go ahead.
Pettingill's mullet was not good.
Oh, it was on point. It was on point.
Yeah, I'm a fan of mullets.
We then go to, speaking of mullets or bad hair choices over the years, Double J celebrating his win. He had a nice interview for that. So again, more showboating, emphasizing his character. He had a back and forth relationship. Say that? What?
He said he had to go see Pam Anderson. He didn't have time for the interview.
He did. He's had a back and forth. Again, this is funny too because Jeff Jarrett was on the panel, Hell in a Cell, so now we're talking about Jeff Jarrett again. It's like it's a weird full circle thing. He's had a weird working relationship with WFWE. For those that don't know, he went back and forth between the two companies, and then he was the founder for TNA Impact, and he even at some point took Kurt Angle's ex-wife. So, yikes. It's fun to read about that stuff. Say that again?
He held them WWE for ransom, too, to make him lose the title to China. Remember, he wasn't under contract anymore.
Yeah, that was...
He made him pay him a bunch of money to lose.
Yeah. Wasn't it like a good housekeeping match or around that time that was like a thing that Jericho did and China and Jarrett and...
I don't remember exactly. I just know he lost the Intercontinental title to China that night.
Yeah. It was like, I want to say it was Survivor Series 99 or around that time period. Just weird stuff. He's got an interesting... If you ever get a chance, read up on him. He's had an interesting wrestling life. Our next match on the card, we have Taker, IRS. Thoughts?
It's Taker. It's a Taker match. Slow entrance. I love IRS and $1 Million Man together. They were just like a perfect team.
Money Inc.
Yeah, they were one of the best heel tag teams in the old school days.
I agree. Cody?
I didn't like this match. Honestly, I think this... Taker had a really bad couple of years of his career, and this was around that time. I just really didn't like the match. And IRS, I really don't like them much either, and I never really did. And even looking back at history, I mean, it just was like extremely played out and just kind of there. And I know...
We lose him? Trevor? Oh no! Did I lose you guys? If I did, I can't hear either of you guys. If you can still hear me. Rejoin, exit out, join back in Discord if you are still able to hear me. While you're testing out that, just chime in if I can hear you. I'll give my thoughts on this while we're testing you out so we don't have awkward silence.
Hello.
Yep, you're back. All right, go ahead.
All right, where did we leave off there?
You were just saying you just weren't pleased with this period of time for Taker, and then you fizzled out.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, this period of time for Taker, I really don't think was really great for him in any sense. I really didn't think his gimmick was that great, and this match just felt like a mess. IRS isn't that great as is. And then you add King Kong Bundy to the mix, and it was just...
Cluster.
Yeah, it was just a cluster.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. So this is the Paul Bearer, era. It's been around for a little while at this point. I had a joke too. How does Taker get his wins? He earns them.
Wow.
So you're welcome for that.
That-
Yeah.
Boo.
Yeah, I know. Whatever. I even added that to my notes because I had said it while watching this with Lana. She didn't appreciate it. No one appreciates it. That's fine. It's not for everybody. Not for everybody. I said this is the slower taker. Hey, I'm getting booed now. The sound effects. Batman appreciate it. He likes it. Thank you, Batman. We got one person. Thank you. That's all that matters.
Yeah, the old man gives you credit for a dad joke.
Hey, somebody's got it. So I said this is a slower taker style, average pacing. Taker 1, the Disciple guys run in, and King Kong. My notes I have King Kong Bunny, not Bundy. Thank you, typo. It was average. It was fine for this era. Like, it works, but it's not great. But it's not just god awful. I give it a 3. I didn't know really how to score this because it was fine. Like, I didn't hate it.
Give it a 3 because it's Taker.
Right. Like, it was fine. He hit his spots. The character was sold. Money Inc. was good. Like, but it wasn't like, yeah, that was amazing. I want to watch it again.
I gave it a 2.
A 2. That's fair. I was around 2, 3, but I went with a 3. So.
Yeah.
It's hard when it's not out of 10, you know? When it's out of 5, it's like, in whole numbers, that makes it all more difficult. Anything else we want to add, though, to that one?
Nope, just get into this fun next match.
You're excited for this one. Let's go backstage, though, with a recap of Nash, a.k.a. Diesel, backstage preparing for his match against Hart. And then we see a Hart interview recap as well, building to this. And what is building to is the WWF Championship. Hart, Diesel for his title.
I mean, were these really interviews? They both just said they didn't have time for this. They were getting ready.
I mean, that's what you got. I don't know. Go ahead. Somebody give me your thoughts. Kick this thing off, because I got a lot on this one.
I really liked this match. I thought it was a great match overall. I just hated the ending of it.
I love Diesel's entrance, though. With the truck and the glass breaking.
Yeah, I mean, I just think this match was a complete spectacle. And it was a great match overall. The only thing I didn't like about this match was the ending.
So, I mean, my initial reaction, and this plays into with my thoughts and feedback on the Rumble match itself, too. If I could have changed one thing on this pay-per-view and how I booked it, would be 2 people swapping spots in matches. That would be swapping Bret Hart with, I'm drawing a blank now, British Bulldog.
Okay.
So putting Bulldog against Diesel to tell a similar story, but having Hart have the role in the Rumble match that Bulldog had. And we'll get to why as we talk about the show more. But that's my initial reaction. If I could change anything from the booking on how I would have booked something, would have been that way, if that makes sense.
Okay.
Trevor?
I liked how Bret Hart was more aggressive, and he was like doing stuff that he normally wouldn't do, that he should have been probably disqualified for, but since it was a championship match, you know, the ref was letting shit go, and then all the crazy run-ins, and Shawn hitting Diesel, Owen hitting Bret, and then everything else later on. I remember who all ran in. I have it here somewhere.
I got the notes, too.
But, yeah, all the... Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, it was, HBK, Owen, Backlund, Double J, and the Roadie all interfered in this match at some point at the end.
So I have a question.
Yeah, I enjoyed the chaos.
Yeah, I liked this match. I like how Bret was playing possum when he went, and when Diesel went in for the jackknife, he rolled him up and almost got the pin, and the ref got knocked down, and that's when everybody came out there and they couldn't just let it go on anymore. I don't mind the draw because I think they was trying to keep them both strong. would have been nice to have a winner, but
So, question. The Lawrence Taylor spot with Vince McMahon then apologizing for something that happened, was that to build for the next WrestleMania?
yeah, they had a match, Bam Bam and Lawrence Taylor.
Okay. I wondered, because that was awkward, and I'm trying to review this in a vacuum and not have it like reasons for leading up to something else. Even though I'm doing that with this particular match in the Rumble and how it would have changed booking, but it just, I had forgotten about what that was all playing into, so it was a weird
I did
random
like
spot.
Diesel ended up clearing everybody and then saved Brett, even though he could have just kicked each other's asses. And then they shook hands, and that was the end.
Yeah. So here's my notes that I have. I said it was a normal slow Nash type match. We already know my dislike for Nash. So Bret Hart with his traditional technical wrestling. He controls the pacing, showcases his worth, while Nash just plays the big man role in this thing. I said HBK runs it on Nash. Obviously, continue their feud. The match continues after running. Owen then runs in to attack Bret, ruin his advantage he had. The match must continue. Bob Backlund, Double J, HBK, Owen, Rhodey, Pandemonium. The bell rings. Ref and management clear the ring, and then they have that just... it's a draw, and then the two opponents who are battling are just, like you said, just standing there and just kind of acknowledge each other. It's just, hey, no disrespect, it's done. I just felt it was weird.
I know why HBK, Owen, and Backlund were there. I don't remember if Double J was feuded with any of them at the time.
I don't recall, and why would he if he just won the belt, the IC belt?
Yeah, because he had been feuding with Razor, obviously.
Right. Say like it was a weird.
Maybe it was just to set up stuff later, because I know Double J and Diesel fought, because I watched that match at a house show.
Right. It's potential there. Ultimately, I was just not pleased with this match. It didn't do much for me. I gave it a 2 out of 5.
I gave it a 4. I
I
liked
gave
it.
it 4 as well.
And that's fine. I mean, we're all going to have different opinions, so that's why I like
Yeah.
doing these. Anything else we want to add to this?
Nope.
No.
Let's go backstage then to the changing room where Pamela Anderson's changing and awkward of handing clothes to her. So again, that tension kind of thing they wanted to do here for whatever reason. Have a guest.
Pre-attitude era.
Yeah, very pre-attitude era. It was just weird. It was weird.
Attitude era, she'd have been in her bra and panties on camera.
Yeah.
With Lawler going puppies.
I mean, the attire choice was slightly revealing later for the entrance, for the Rumble match, but definitely we're getting ready for the Attitude Era at this point.
Lawler claiming to have a date with her later.
The man's a creep. We then go to another interview. Bob Holly, it's a Sparky plug, and the 1-2-3 Kid. Why were they a tag team again?
I think they were just thrown together because the Smoking Guns were out. That's what they said. I don't...
But they weren't, though, because didn't Smoking Guns, and spoiler alert, didn't Smoking Guns take the belts from them pretty quickly after this match?
The next night.
Was it the next night? That's what I thought. I thought it was pretty soon.
Yeah, but at the start of the tournament, they said the Smoking Guns were hurt in a rodeo. Is what I don't know what was
Yeah,
the real reason.
They missed the tournament to injury, and the Smoking Guns didn't have the titles before. It was Shawn Michaels
And Diesel. That's why they had the
and
tournament.
Diesel,
They
and-
broke up.
Yeah, and Shawn Michaels threw his half the titles in the garbage and vacated it.
Gotcha.
They had all the belts at one point. That's what their whole thing was. 2 dudes with attitudes, 2 dudes with all the straps or some shit like that.
That's right. So
Yeah, but the Smoking Guns did end up winning the titles the very next night, which made this whole tournament kind of pointless.
Yeah. I mean, obviously we're doing this in a vacuum, but on the grand picture of it all, it is weird. And the match, obviously, in itself, I felt was pointless. Bam Bam, Tatanka, another weird tag team. I get there was a story around it. Bob
They were
Holly.
both on the $1 million McMahon's team.
Right, and I get that, and they managed a lot of people, but it's weird. Like, at this point in these people's careers, this is what we're doing. Like, it's pre anything worthwhile for Bob Holly, pre anything worthwhile for 1-2-3 Kid, and then Bam Bam really not in his stride. He was better outside of WWF. And Tatanka, I mean, at this point, yeah, like we've seen some stuff.
He was just all chops.
Yeah, he was fine, but
he had the story with Luger before he was with the $1 Million Man, and that's the most memorable thing about him.
So I mean, in all, like for me, it was an average match. There was like a weird spot where 1-2-3 hit Holly. Like it was like almost a missed up and an awkward sell. Like he went back to the corner after that. It seemed like a messy match. And then like the quote fan favorites, even if you can say that, get the win. I gave it a 2 out of 5. You guys want to give your thoughts?
I gave it a 2.
Yeah, I gave it a 3. I didn't hate the match. I thought it was a pretty decent match. The only real notes I have for this match is where's X-Pac's goatee?
He's the kid still. He doesn't have
He's the kid.
That's it. That's all I took from that entire match.
He's just a goofy looking dude. I don't know.
He's got a weird face without that goatee.
Yeah.
It was weird how they got the win too, because Tatanka hit the rope when he was going. Bam Bam was going for the moonsault. Like it looked.
I guess it was messy.
It didn't look like yeah. And then of course I got in the notes after the match. LT's laughing at Bam Bam, which just set up their Mania match.
Right, and I think they headlined 11, didn't they?
I think so, and I don't remember it being a good match.
No, because didn't all the other players like come out and do something too?
Yeah, I don't remember it that well. I just remember not being good, so I'm like...
So then we head towards our main event of the show, which we get promos from various people in the Rumble and last year's recap. We're finally getting out of the era of just people backstage yelling at a camera about what they're going to do in the Rumble. If you go back and watch early Rumbles, they're tough to watch. They're not good whatsoever. And then the promos on the idea of whomever is going to win it is just like, really? Really, Earthquake? No. You're not going to. Then
last year's Rumble was the one with Brett and Sean. Or Brett and Lex going out at the same time.
Yeah, and that was a decent story to be told. And I'll get to the story that's told in this one and then why I wanted to swap people. So Pamela, as mentioned, comes out in an outfit, ... King is doing his normal, ... which we talked about. And then we have our two, entrant 1 and entrant 2, HBK and British Bulldog. And is it just me? Or was this Royal Rumble on fast forward?
Yeah, that's what I got. It's a short, very short. I thought I had to look it up to see if it was the shortest. It wasn't, but it was pretty damn close because they were coming every 60 seconds.
So I've looked at a lot of, I've watched a lot of Royal Rumbles and gone back, and typically around the time of Royal Rumbles, I'll go back and watch a bunch of them. The 90s had very short Royal Rumbles. It was kind of just everybody gets in the ring, everybody gets thrown out, and you're done. But that's not necessarily like the Royal Rumbles these days lasts about an hour or so. The average time for Royal Rumbles back then was about half.
As I say, this clocked in around like 38 minutes or something.
38 minutes, 41 seconds is what they have officially down.
That was crazy fast.
It also felt like there was a ton of jobber-type characters in this one.
Yes, and I'm glad you pointed that out.
Like, so many people, like, well done. Like, who the hell are these guys?
And honestly, that's the problem I have with the Royal Rumble match altogether, is when you have too many jobbers in there, we all kind of know who the last few are going to be, unless they're going to surprise us, which rarely, if you look back at the history of the Royal Rumbles, has ever happened, if at all. You kind of have an idea of who the top few that have potential winning it, and it's generally your upper mid-carders, 2 main eventers already that are going to win it.
Yeah,
At
but
least,
did we really, in this time, did we really have 15 to 20 people that you can think of that would have been possibilities to win this match?
but that's the problem. Like,
Because
some
nowadays, yeah, like we have 30 people that easily could win the match. But back in these days, they only had like 5 to 10 people that they ever pushed at a time.
right, and that was the problem. And this is exactly why, if you look at the start of the Monday Night Wars, why they started off on the wrong foot and were getting beat. Your credible talents were going elsewhere. The more known names were elsewhere. You had Duke the Dumpster in the Royal Rumble. Is he going to win and go to WrestleMania? No. So to me, I said if I was going to describe this particular Rumble match as anything, is it felt like a match between HBK and the British Bulldog with people running in during it and then getting eliminated.
Yeah, I mean, the only other people that were in this match that had potential to win was Owen, maybe. Lex. You had Mabel, who
Crush.
Mabel was just King of the Ring this year, wasn't he?
95 or 96. I think Owen was 95.
I don't think he was king yet because he didn't come out as King Mabel. You think he was
Yeah.
still a face? It was men on a mission still. They were the good
Yeah.
guys.
It was around this time.
I mean, Mabel, maybe, but he was going to get his push, I guess, the next year if that's when he won King of the Ring.
Well, Stone
and then
Cold,
that's it.
when he wins 96, 97, 96. I can't remember now.
I think it's 97. Maybe it's early 96. Yeah, it is one of those two, but I say 96 does make more sense now because they were trying to build the star, and that was right when it had to be 96 because Triple H was supposed to win, but when Hall and Nash left, they did the curtain call.
Yeah, maybe Mabel was 95, and I want to say then maybe 94 was Owen.
Yeah, so just a few months before this, Mabel was King of the Ring.
Yeah, he was getting the push later that year.
Yeah, so I mean, they're the only people that you could think, if you look at the entire roster of possibilities that could have won this match, you have 4, maybe 5.
And that's the problem.
And then you have guys like Doink.
So I
Doink
said,
was at least better than some of the other ones in this.
That is true.
yeah, I said there were too many low card, which we really tackled here. Too many low card entrants. I mentioned, as you guys mentioned too, with Mabel, there was a really cool exchange between Bundy and Mabel when they met. I was like, this is cool to see. Obviously, if you don't know much about King Kong Bundy, he headlined WrestleMania 2 in a steel cage match against Hulk Hogan. So he's at this point a tenured and long-term, probably overstayed his welcome talent. But cool to see him giving a nod to somebody like Mabel. It's like an exchange, passing of the torch, if you will, if there's even that for mid-carders. Crush was a misused talent. Even WCW didn't do well with him.
Yeah. He had Fatu in there, but the soon-to-be Rikishi when he was a little smaller.
So that was cool to see. There was a weird spot. I don't know if you guys caught this, where Bulldog took a weird clothesline from HBK and Crush. Do you guys recall that at all?
No.
So if you get a chance, skim through it. There's a point where HBK and Crush teamed together to do a clothesline to Bulldog. And it's weird. It's almost like it was botched, and he didn't take it well. I don't know if that was intentional, but it didn't look good. But as I mentioned at the beginning of this is a historic Royal Rumble for a major reason. It has the iconic moment where HBK holds on with one hand and one foot touching the ground, which they emphasize, and Bulldog's music hits as he thought they won, or he had won it, but then HBK comes back in the ring quickly and eliminates during his celebration. And then they emphasize with the replays, and it's still brought up to this day anytime there's a Royal Rumble, that particular almost elimination. And then the emphasis on the rules, where only one foot touched the ground. And then, of course, entering number 1 and going all the way.
Vince says, we know he's not going to Mania.
Yeah. And,
yeah, I mean, one of the most iconic Royal Rumble spots of all time that still gets used today. Certain spots exactly like that. I think it's pretty overplayed to this point. So watching it nowadays, it's not as impressive as it was back then.
Well, especially after Kofi.
Yeah, then now we have guys doing so much crazier things, and
even
girls
Naomi?
with Naomi doing stuff.
Yeah, so I mean, they've stepped up the game in creativity as far as that's concerned. So for me, I mean, historical moment. I did it in a vacuum. I did it as far as, a match itself. It was a story being told, and I said we should have swapped out Bulldog for Bret Hart because of their rivalry. But if I have to do it in a vacuum, I give the Rumble itself a 3 out of 5. It could have been a much better Rumble, but it wasn't the worst one I've ever seen.
Yeah, I mean, the only reason I disagree with that point of you saying that they should have swapped Bret Hart and British Bulldog is Bret Hart did have a pretty key impact in this match. I mean, he took out one of the only, like we just said, there was only a few people that realistically could have won this match, and Bret Hart took out one of them during his entrance.
Yeah, he took out Owen first, and then he attacked Backlund later. I mean, Backlund wasn't going to win, but he did take him out.
Right.
Yeah, so I mean, he had a pretty key role in this match. And British Bulldog, I don't think he gets nearly enough respect as he should.
No, but that's why I would have put him in the championship match to give him a singles match, as ultimately all this was a singles match between HBK anyways. And I just think that HBK and Bret have had great chemistry. I mean, if you look at their rivalry, they're one of the most notable rivalries in the 90s for wrestling. Having that be the story in the middle of a Royal Rumble match on top of everything they did would have been a fun storyline. But I don't think that it would have been as easy to convince Bret to lose like that to HBK.
Yeah, it's pretty... looking back at it.
Somebody go.
Oh, you're good. I was just saying, looking back at it, it's kind of hard to tell Bret anything.
Yeah, I mean, he's stubborn, but he's trying to rep his brand and reputation, too, at the same time, and he's going against, at the time, an egomaniac of HBK.
For sure.
So
I was saying Pam seemed very uncomfortable with Shawn dancing with her.
I mean, wouldn't you?
She looked like she was into his entrance, though. He was looking like a Chippendales dancer coming down.
It's just
one thing. The one guy of the Heavenly Bodies, Jimmy Del Rey, that guy always looks very, nasty to me.
Now, why are they the Heavenly Bodies? Is that really a heavenly body?
No, neither one. And he just always looks like... You're very, I don't know. Something about him just was always ugh.
Yeah, creep factor.
Yeah.
They just look like old dads at the barbecue with their shirts off. It's just weird.
They're the old guys at the rundown strip clubs.
Ugh.
That's a heavenly body right there.
I'm gonna move. Is that really how we're closing this thing? It's such a low point.
Oh man.
We could talk about the AEW tournament they had though, real quick.
Oh yeah,
that was decent.
There you go.
Yeah,
bring that up as we have a few more minutes.
Honestly, if you aren't into AEW or haven't given it a chance, this week was the episode to watch. Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, great matches overall. The entire tournament was great. Even the tag match was a great match. There wasn't any bad matches. Even Kenny Omega squashing Sonny Kiss. It was
that was a good way to introduce the cleaner to AEW.
Yeah, I mean, you bring the cleaner in. He comes out of the... They hint that he's going to come out of the heel entrance, but he came out of the face entrance. And he comes out and just V-trigger one-wing angel. It's done. And just beautifully done.
Wait. They have a heel and face entrance? I've never noticed that.
Yeah, so if you watch AEW,
I know they have
notice
two.
two tunnels.
Yeah.
The one on the left, the heels come out of. The one on the right, the faces come out of.
I've never. Has this been acknowledged, or is this just a
Yes.
thing? Really?
Yeah, it's acknowledged.
Oh,
Yeah,
that is.
And if you pay attention, you'll notice all the heels come out of the left one and all the faces come out of the right one. But it's what you feel that you are. So Kenny Omega, he doesn't feel like he's a heel yet, so he's still coming out of the right one.
I don't know how I feel. I don't.
Did you just figure that out?
I didn't. Well, yeah, you just told me. I didn't know that was a thing.
Yeah.
I don't know if I love it or I hate it. Like,
It's unique.
I mean, Impact had two entrances. They had one on each side. But did they do it that way too?
I honestly don't know. I just know that AEW has a heel tunnel and a face tunnel. They get you to the same place, but, you know.
Batman says the right one would be busy on NAW.
On NAW?
Wouldn't it be the left? Don't we have more heels?
Left one would be busy. Yeah, we have a lot of heels.
We have too many heels. Everybody's a heel. Everybody just wants to be an a-hole.
Unfortunately, Ray Phoenix was hurt and he gave up his win, so his brother Penta's going to be in the match next week.
And they even did that really well. So Ray Phoenix ended up beating Pentagon, but Eddie Kingston announced that Ray Phoenix was hurt and Pentagon would be taking his place, which Ray looked very distraught about it, like he was angry about it. That might have been an online exclusive, though, that interview.
Gotcha.
Because I don't remember seeing it on the actual episode.
Well, I got some catching up to do, and if you guys haven't watched it,
it wasn't on the actual episode. I seen it was on there, but I haven't watched it yet. But I heard because they didn't know he was going to be out.
Yeah, I think they're pushing. This might honestly be a work. I don't think he's actually hurt. He does. So if you actually watch Ray Phoenix matches, a lot of them he sells very well and looks like he's hurt. If you go back to Lucha Underground, he does this thing where he'll get laid out and it looks really bad and he like drools on the ground like he's like literally knocked out. But it's just him selling. He's just a very good salesman when it comes to that. So I don't know if he was actually hurt or not. But I think they're pushing this story to kind of break up Ray Phoenix and Pentagon. They're just pushing it further and further.
Well, it's on my DVR, so I'm going to have to go check that out. I'm looking
Yeah,
up
it's a great match.
One thing is I'm going to leave this with a cliffhanger for our listeners. If I am on the next episode, I have decided the event for us to watch.
I'm intrigued.
And what I'm going to try to do for my picks is keep it in the historic month that we're in currently. So since November is this weekend already, which is incredible, so our next episode will be November of 2020, I want to take it back to a classic, well, maybe not considered classic yet, but a previous November pay-per-view. We're going to go back to the year 2012 for Survivor Series.
Ooh, okay.
So, if you guys are listeners, we go in rotation. Cody went first, Trevor went second. It is my turn for pick. The following will be you guys as listeners. If you join us on social media, we're going to pull up a poll on a couple weeks' time for the next one or leading up to it, so you guys can pick the fourth one we review, and then we'll start it all over again. It'll be back to Cody for his next pick. But for mine, Survivor Series 2012, available on the WWE Network. Check it out. And should I give you a preview of what's notable for this one?
Sure.
Or you just want to go back and discover it on your own?
I think we're going to do both anyway.
All right,
Yeah,
I'll give you guys.
Watch it.
I'll give you. Well, you have to watch it anyways if you want to partake in the review. But for viewers, this one is notable for a few reasons. But the most notable is the on-screen debut of the Shield.
Yes.
Plus, so much more on this show. A lot of things to digest. I'm just reviewing the card again, and yeah, I'm.
It's going to be a fun one.
I think so. I'm excited for this, and yeah, I'm excited to rewatch this one. So check it out again. Survivor Series 2012 available on WWE Network. It'll be our next episode. Other than that, you can check us out on social media. We are the Nerds of Wrestling. We have an Instagram if you want to follow us there. We don't really post a lot. Locke says on-screen or main roster. I believe both. It's the main roster and on-screen debut of them for WWE.
Yeah.
And the main roster on-screen debut.
Yeah,
they were in NXT
it's
leading
main
up to this.
roster.
Yeah. So I won't
This
dive.
isn't where they had an in-ring debut, but
No in ring. This is their appearance on the main roster. So.
correct. You've seen them on NXT prior to this.
Yes.
If you watched.
They were.
If you didn't, they were completely new to you.
So check that out. That'll be our next episode. At this point, maybe Sunday, maybe Monday. I don't know when we're gonna do the next one. We have a Twitter. Does NOW have a Twitter? It's news to me.
Who's asking?
I don't know. Locke's confirmed we have a Twitter. I know DNA has one. I don't know if NOW. If it does, I'm not active at all on there, and I don't know who manages it then. If we do have one, but follow us. Again, we're not really active there live. If you want to be part of the community and most active, join us on Discord. NOW DNA. So yes, yeah, that is a thing. And so Locke knows who has access. We have access apparently. We're not active on there, but most active. Join us on Discord. Join us under anything Dose of Nerd Acumen, which is the parent channel of all this type of content. Under that umbrella, we have people like Locke Steady. We have people like Trevor. We have people like Kevin, myself, Lana. Did I say Locke already? I'll say it again for good value. We have a ton of people. And then Cody here on the Nerds of Wrestling podcast. We have so many people that have done content in the past for us, and hopefully many more in the future. DNA is a great community of people as well outside of just the streamers. Again, amazing community. Thankful to have each and every one of them as listeners, as viewers to any of our live content. Check us out on Twitch here. If you're listening back on a podcast platform, it's twitch.tv/Dose of Nerd Acumen. Join us anytime live. Turn on those notifications to know and never miss an episode of anything we do, because I guarantee there's something on our channel for you. And if you're unsure, check out our archives, youtube.com/Dose of Nerd Acumen. Over 750 videos at your fingertips on demand whenever you want, anywhere you want, as long as you can access YouTube. Give us a like. Tell you, yeah, you could watch it on the toilet. It's a great place because some of our content might have been shit, but that's okay.
I wasn't going there.
Hey, I went there anyways. I could diss my own previous stuff. It's all about growing and being better and growing this community to give exactly what you guys are looking for, an escape from the reality out there, because that reality sometimes can be also shit. And on that note, thank you, Cody. Thank you, Trevor. It's been another great episode of NOW. We'll see you guys on the next one, and make sure you join us this Thursday. DK, shout out to you. When Disaster Strikes, 8 p.m. special start time. Well, I guess standard start time now.
No show tomorrow, right?
No show tomorrow. No, only shows this Thursday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, when Disaster Strikes pay-per-view, our 266th episode of NAW. Holy hell.
On Wednesday on YouTube, we have Mikey.
Yes.
10 o'clock.
Mikey Nightmare. 10 o'clock. YouTube. Check him out. It's been fun, though. Thank you, guys.
Night, everybody. Thanks for coming. Thanks for listening. We'll listen to the playback.
Cody?
Good night, nerds.
And we're out.